We are ready to roll in a top 10 matchup between UConn and NC State. Taking a look at the Jeep starting lineups. Kim Adams, AZ Fudd coming off a 32-point performance.
And Aubrey Griffin moving into the starting lineup in place of Dorka Juhas, who is out with a broken thumb.
For NC State, a 4-0 start to the season. Diamond Johnson averaging nearly 13 points per game. And Jakia Brown-Turner, the lone starter from that Elite Eight thriller that the Wolfpack had with the Huskies. Revenge on the minds of the Wolfpack. For UConn, looking for a second straight top 10 victories. The Huskies are in the blue and NC State in the white. We are underway. Aaliyah Edwards to the hoop.
And that's a start Gino Auriemma would like to see from his junior forward. Explosion is the word he repeatedly used with her in practice yesterday.
Nika Mule forcing the ball out of bounds. How is this NC State team different from a year ago?
Well, the four starters are gone, highlighted by Elisa Kinane, the 6'5", multi-time All-American. So you have players like Diamond Johnson with the ball in her hands right now who are evolving into a bigger role. So now it's time to see how quickly can they adjust and get the chemistry going with this group.
Boyd tangled up. It's Griffin and Edwards forcing the jump ball. They'll stay with the Wolfpack.
You see the size of this UConn team. We did mention Dorka Juhas at 6'5", not available for this one, but Aaliyah Edwards inside, and a little bit of help by committee there, collapsing on the Boyd drive.
With 2 on the timer, Johnson. A shot clock violation forced by the Huskies. Now we take a look at these Jeep starting lineups. Who else stands out to you in this matchup?
Madison Hayes, look out for the sophomore from NC State. Had a minimal role last season and has been so impressive for the Wolfpack early on.
Battle for the rebound, and Griffin comes down with it. And a foul is called. It's on Brown-Turner. So no Dorka Juhas, Kim. Aubrey Griffin getting the start. How does no Juhas, who played 39 minutes against Texas, impact the Huskies going forward for the next couple games?
Well, it takes away their biggest player at 6'5", but you do have Aubrey Griffin, a very experienced Husky, missed all of last season with a back injury. She has a much bigger role today. Also look for Ayanna Patterson coming off the bench, and AZ Fudd picking up right where she left off in that huge game against Texas on Monday.
32 points for Fudd, and the Huskies' pressure is disrupting out of the gates.
Ball protection, one of the two main focuses for NC State head coach Wes Moore for his team because of how quickly this UConn team can get out and run it back the other way.
Juhas, by the way, a broken left thumb, projects to be out 3 games as the Huskies' defense forces another giveaway. Back-to-back turnovers forced by UConn.
And you see the length of AZ Fudd there at 5'11". Diamond Johnson, an electric point guard, but just 5'5". So she initially beats her off of the dribble, but then Fudd able to recover and have some help come over as well.
Lou Lopez Seneschal. Here comes Diamond Johnson. Transferred into this program from Rutgers. Now their point guard. Jada Boyd. She traveled.
You see, John, right away, UConn sending 3 to the ball down low. They are really going to try and take advantage of their size in this matchup.
Edwards with 4 early points. That was a challenge that Gino Auriemma gave Edwards yesterday. Now Griffin with a steal. What a start by the Huskies. It's Fudd. Bedlam in Hartford. Timeout, Wolfpack. Westmore in year 10 at the helm of the NC State Wolfpack. 3 consecutive ACC tournament titles.
He's really done a tremendous job there. 32 wins last year, a program record. And they won the regular season ACC championship last year for the first time in 1990. So that elusive last step for his team is getting back to that Final Four, somewhere they haven't been since 1998. And of course, so close to getting there last year in this exact matchup.
Jada Boyd gets them on the board.
I think Jada Boyd is primed to have a huge year, John, with those 4 starters moving on. She's a 6'2" player who can really get out in the open floor and work down low.
Griffin with the basketball, getting the start for the injured UConn, and 3 seconds is called.
And there's Jada Boyd on the other end as well. You see her size at 6'2". She can guard players inside as she did there. She can guard players on the perimeter.
Hall of Famer Gino Auriemma talked to his team about, hey, we might be shorthanded. We might be going through adversity as the Wolfpack turn it over. But we can control everything that we do defensively.
And this is a team that's unfortunately used to the adversity when it comes to reshuffling lineups. Last year, this year, a multitude of injuries, but he's really challenging them to communicate and to play defense really well in this game.
Edwards fighting for it, but it'll go back to NC State.
This side.
And you see UConn putting on some token full court pressure here, just to slow down a little bit at times. They will be a bit more aggressive, look to trap, or they turned Texas over a ton earlier this week.
NC State can score at over 80 points in all 4 games to start the season. Boyd with 10. There's Jakia Brown-Turner. Defense from Seneschal, but an offensive board and a foul.
And Westmore really preaches rebounding with his team. He goes back to the Pat Summitt quote when he was coaching at UT Chattanooga for a while, was around Pat Summitt, and truly believes that rebounding is the most important part of the game. So he's got to love that O board early in this one.
Westmore got his start in coaching as a volunteer under Pat Summitt at Tennessee. The give and go from Mule to Griffin, and she was fouled.
A lot of good things about that sequence, John. Rebounding, getting out in transition. Nika Mule's playmaking ability has been incredible to start this season. She's averaging 8 assists per game. Won't get it here just now as Aubrey Griffin draws the foul, but a great start too for Aubrey Griffin, moving into the starting lineup in place of Dorka Juhas, and she's really made an impact in all aspects of the game early on.
Like you said, missed all of last year due to a back injury. Think about the Huskies, how banged up they've been. Juhas, the latest to that list. Gino Auriemma said coming into the season, Aubrey Griffin brings us a spark that we really need.
And she brings maturity and the ability to calm the team down as Jakia Brown-Turner, another one of those long Wolfpack guards, really a problem when attacking the rim.
And turnover. Steal by Boyd. There's Hayes. They believe she can be the X factor. Madison Hayes.
It's hard to believe Madison Hayes scored just 2 points a game last season. When you see the confidence with which she plays, the numbers she's been putting up, she's going to have a breakout year for Westmore.
And great defense coming in from Jakia Brown-Turner. The Wolfpack have woken up. And Sanaya Rivers. Nika Mule. Edwards travel. Well, Caroline Ducharme checks in for Lou Lopez Seneschal. Kim, Ducharme has only practiced 4 times for Connecticut.
Caroline Ducharme, the sophomore, was a major piece of what they did last year. Had some neck stiffness for the last couple of weeks, so she's still trying to get into game shape. Played just a handful of minutes in the Texas game, but Gino's really going to rely on her in this game. She's got to try to get back to herself.
A steal from Griffin. Aubrey Griffin with the Euro. That was pretty.
That's Aubrey Griffin on display, making the play defensively, taking it up the floor herself, cutting through the lane for the tough finish. Aubrey Griffin is back.
Yes, she is. It comes up with another steal. Aubrey Griffin. The Aubrey Griffin show has broken out in Hartford.
Aubrey Griffin trying to one-up her brother AJ, who had that game winner for the Hawks last night. Good week for the Griffin family.
Now a jump ball, and it'll go back to the Huskies.
Aubrey Griffin is such a force on this end of the floor, just using her length and then her ability to really get up the floor, push the ball out in front, and she can finish with both hands at that end of the floor. She is tough to stop, especially when she's getting the ball out at that three-point area. She is a really tough force to have at the top of a defense, whether they're pressing or in the half court. What a start for Aubrey Griffin.
Her dad, Adrian, played hoops at Seton Hall. Was in the NBA for 9 seasons. Mom ran track and was an All-American as well at Seton Hall. So she comes from a great family of athletes. Edwards travels again.
You see Aaliyah Edwards really trying to be confident in this game. Just a couple of small errors where you want to compose yourself a little bit before you making that step, really getting your footwork right. But so far I like the response we're seeing. As we mentioned, we got the opportunity to attend practice yesterday, and Gino was really challenging her.
Boyd. How about this early on? 13 of UConn's 15 points have come off turnovers. This time it's a dime from Newell to Ducharme. Edwards.
And John Westmore mentioned 2 stats from last year's Elite 8 thriller. He said points off turnovers and second chance points. They got beat badly by UConn. So that is an area that they were hoping to key in on in this game.
It will go back to the Huskies. You said it, because Wes Moore brought up to us that playing UConn is hard enough. Playing UConn when you're making some mistakes, oh boy.
This team is just so fast in transition, so you have to really prioritize ball control and not turning it over against this team.
AZ Fudd with her second bucket.
And the offensive versatility of AZ Fudd. We know she can get hot from 3, but she's really skilled in making the right reads in terms of pulling up there or getting all the way to the rim. She's really gotten good at reading the defense.
Boyd on an island. Jada Boyd was fouled by Ducharme.
And I like the aggression from Jada Boyd. Players like her, players like Jakia Brown-Turner re-entering the game, they really want to take advantage of their size on the wing. Jada Boyd, she was actually the 6th player of the year 2 seasons ago. Her teammate Diamond Johnson was the 6th player of the year last year, and now they're both in the starting lineup. So you see their experience there, and now shifting that energy to becoming a starter.
Player development is a real theme with this Wolfpack program.
And you love to see it, the classes they graduate. Last year's players most of them had been at NC State for 4 years. You have 3 4-year seniors in this group. So absolutely, they've bought into what Coach Westmore is doing and getting better year after year.
Fudd. AZ Fudd with the left hand.
And none of that was easy, John. She was being chased around the floor, continued to run off of screens, and then didn't settle for the defense, took it right to the rack.
Brown-Turner a little long, and Griffin, who's made every little thing happen with the board. Griffin. Oliver Baldwin checking in for the Wolfpack. NC State has missed 6 straight shots. Edwards in transition from Mule.
How did Nika Mule make that happen? It was like she was dribbling through a chair drill. 2 or 3 Wolfpack defenders almost had their hands on the ball, but she stuck with it and gets it up to Edwards.
Gino Auriemma says Nika Mule makes the hard look easy. He'd like her to make the easy look easy too, as Johnson answers.
Yeah, he says Nika Mule really likes to just play it at one speed. Well, in that situation, it worked out to her favor. A near steal a couple of times, but she's able to break through it.
Jen Rosati is player comp for Nika Mule. Fudd.
And there you see the length of Jakia Brown-Turner at 6 foot, making that shot a little bit tougher than what Fudd is used to seeing.
There's Sanaya Rivers, someone you're really high on.
Yeah, Sanaya Rivers transfers over from South Carolina, a national champion last year, was the 2021 Gatorade National Player of the Year. So now as a sophomore, looking for a bigger role here at NC State, and I think is really starting to settle into how to best use her talents and her skill set.
How many times you can get a McDonald's All-American via the transfer portal? NC State has it. They can hold it for the last shot of the quarter if they'd like.
And they've started to play with a little bit more pace, John, and of course limiting the turnovers, not allowing UConn to get out. Let's see if they can close the half on a positive note here.
Offensive foul drawn by Mule.
Nika Mule is bound to make a couple of those plays per game, and that's something that Gino talked about in practice yesterday, taking a charge on that hard hedge. And Nika Mule gets her position, beats Brown-Turner to the spot, lining it up perfectly to draw the charge.
In the process, it's the second foul on Jakia Brown-Turner. Here's Mule with 8. Gets the handoff from Fudd. Nika Mule back to Fudd and was fouled.
You can't say enough, John, about how Nika Mule has made things happen in this first quarter with her ability to push the ball up the floor, to make the right reads, and that time, clock winding down, she gets to a spot, recognizes she's got 2 defenders on her, and finds Fudd. Credit to Fudd for moving without the ball as well.
Fudd with double figures in the opening quarter. She scored 17 in the 4th against Texas Monday. Career high mark. And in her last 2 quarters, she scored, 28. 3.8 for the Wolfpack. Johnson. Diamond Johnson. Just off. A 10-point game after 1.
The Huskies have been off and running, defense to offense. Nika Mule, the Energizer Bunny of this team, crisscrossing through players up to her big woman, Aaliyah Edwards.
Connecticut up 10 on NC State in this top 10 battle after 1 quarter. And then there were 3 starters back from that Elite 8 double overtime thriller between these 2 programs a year ago.
Yeah, looking for some new stars to emerge, and the teams are similar with the styles of play. We asked Wes Moore, obviously that was a heartbreaking loss. Did he watch back the film? He said for a while he did not revisit that tape. He did a couple weeks ago, and they did show the team some clips yesterday, just going over the tendencies of UConn, how they like to defend things, where they could be better. But Jakia Brown-Turner, you see her right there, the only starter back for the Wolfpack, and she had a huge game in that one. AZ Fudd is back, but now in a much bigger role for UConn, and they've gotten off to a hot start. But I think NC State started to settle into the game a little bit better there, adjusting to the pressure and realizing how paramount it is in this matchup to take care of the ball.
Look, as much as that game was tough, it was just the program's 2nd all-time Elite 8 appearance. A 9th turnover to start the 2nd quarter.
And it was Ayanna Patterson, the talented freshman right off the bench. Perfect defensive coverage to take away that lob pass.
Edwards back door to Fudd.
What a read. And that's going to happen often for Azzi Fudd because of how well she shoots the ball from three. They're going to overplay her. She read it perfectly. A little jab step out, right to the block.
Here's Rivers, a step back, and Fudd fouled her.
And this was just a pretty read here. Edwards patient, Azzi Fudd noticing the overplay. Diamond Johnson turned her back to Fudd just for a split second, and Azzi Fudd takes advantage with a hard cut. The top scorers in the country, in the world, have to be very good at getting creative about ways to get open. And recognizing that overplay was a perfect read from Fudd.
And even when Azzi Fudd is guarded. 13 points on 5 of 7 from the floor. As Sanaya Rivers is at the line. Mule just turned it over.
Nice pressure defense from Diamond Johnson. Players calling for a moving screen there, but they do force the turnover. And I think that's somewhere NC State can get more involved in this game. We talked about their length on the perimeter. Get a bit more disruptive. Really put on that ball pressure like they did there and get out in passing lanes.
Into Camille Hobby. And she's fouled by Patterson.
I thought it was well defended at first by Ayanna Patterson, who's really taking pride on the defensive end of the floor as just a freshman. But the refs believe just at the last minute she brought those hands down. She had stayed vertical for most of it.
So Camille Hobby at the line. How important is she to what the Wolfpack end up doing?
Well, when you lose Elisa Kinane, you're used to having a force down there for 4 years. So Camille Hobby isn't as big. Kinane was 6'5", Hobby is 6'1", but she's very skilled inside. She's got a great touch on the ball, and she's a leader. We mentioned the 3 seniors on this team. So it's a different look inside, but she could bring a little bit more finesse down there as well.
Entry to Edwards.
Aaliyah Edwards fought for position in that matchup. She didn't settle for being fronted. She moved around and was able to get position for her into her.
Diamond Johnson hoists and hits.
Has been really impressive in this early season. Shooting 70% from 3 coming into this one.
Now a stop by the Wolfpack. Look at Johnson's pace. Extra pass. And an air ball for James.
And that's one where you think about, was that the best look we could have gotten? I would have liked to see James take that off the dribble, rip through and attack, because I don't think UConn's defense was fully set in the half court yet.
Lou Lopez Seneschal. Here's Rivers, one of 3 transfers for the Wolfpack. Johnson left open. Diamond Johnson is starting to sizzle. A foul was called.
And you don't want this to happen if you're UConn, because you just gave up a 3 to Diamond Johnson, as we mentioned, one of the top shooters in the country at this point of the season, and you leave her wide open. That's what Gino was talking to his group about yesterday, communicating. No communication on that.
Foul was called on Hobby as Fudd is off. NC State suddenly on a 9-2 run. Hobby from the elbow. Mule just throwing it away. 7th turnover by Connecticut.
The game is shifting right now. NC State looks like the team that's in control. They're dictating what they're doing on the offensive end, and now UConn looking a little unsure of themselves the last couple of offensive possessions.
Johnson already 2 threes. Hit every part of the rim, but didn't fall this time. Mule to 5.
Nika Mule, great vision, pushing the ball up, getting to the middle of the floor. And AZ Fudd, you cannot lose her in transition, especially behind the three-point line.
Fudd has 16 of the 30. Hobby with the offensive rebound. Trying to fight past 2 Huskies. Wolfpack keep it. And a foul called on Patterson. That's her second.
Nika Mule continues to be a playmaker out here, getting in the middle of the floor, eyes up at all times. AZ Fudd finding an open spot on the floor to relocate to and draining it. But on this end of the floor, John, UConn simply is not boxing out. They're making NC State take some tough shots, but then that possession letting them get 1 or 2 offensive boards.
It's something that Wes Moore brought up to us going into this game. He said, look, I love the way this team gets after it on the glass. They had 64 rebounds against Elon earlier this season.
Yeah, they're second in the NCAA right now with a plus 24 rebounding margin on the season. But interesting to note there, John, that's the second foul on Patterson. Aaliyah Edwards also has 2. She's back in the game, and this is where you miss that depth with Dorka Juhas, who's out with a broken thumb.
Five. AZ Fudd is automatic. 19 points.
You can't give her space. It was a simple handoff. She spots up right behind it. You have to stick with her and force her to have to push herself out and get through that handoff.
Rivers to the bucket.
Sanaya Rivers, she's so shifty with the ball. She glides to the rim, and that time just finding the slightest opening and a strong finish.
Edwards off the fake.
She was close to a travel there.
Rivers to Johnson. And Edwards comes down, and that's a travel.
Yeah, Edwards got tied up with her own teammate there. I think Aaliyah Edwards just at times needs to take a little bit of a deep breath. Like we said, we were in practice yesterday. She's responding to the challenge, but you don't want to be out of control. Let's take another look at it. Yeah, just a couple of teammates gets hit from behind by Mule to force the travel there.
We're at the point now where if you're this UConn coaching staff, you have a big sigh anytime one of your players goes down.
Yeah, I mean, only 9 healthy players for this group right now. Aaliyah Edwards out there playing with 2 fouls, which is a risk. She did that in the Texas game.
Ducharme. Rebound for River Baldwin. Left open, it's Rivers. And another battle for the rebound. This time it's Mule. Huskies have numbers. Mule to Fudd again.
And they got lucky. She had just spotted up in transition a few minutes ago. You really have to locate her. You have to find the ball and locate AZ Fudd instantly in transition.
NC State stuck in a drought, 1 for their last 8. Now they turn it over for the 10th time, and Griffin, that was rejected by River Baldwin.
River Baldwin, a transfer from Florida State. She's bringing the size that they missed from Elisa Kinane. Baldwin at 6'5".
A 1 for 9 drought for the Wolfpack.
Both teams look a little gassed right now. I think this is a good choice to slow things down. It's been a lot of back and forth. settle back into the game here.
Huskies 0 for their last 4. Fudd has had the hot hand, though. Offensive foul. That's the second foul on AZ Fudd. We've got a 7-point game in this top 10 battle. That's a top 10 battle. We've got one here, and coming up at the half on the Jeep Halftime Report, we'll join Dan Helly in Los Angeles with a profile of AZ Fudd.
AZ Fudd, we mentioned 32 points, career high against Texas. She already has 19 points in this first half. Absolutely outstanding. Has knocked down 3 threes. And we mentioned NC State has left her a couple of times. That's an adjustment they're going to have to make right away.
How do you defend her?
Well, you have to do it by committee. First of all, you can't go under a single screen for her. You have to chase her over every screen, have maybe a hedge coming off of screens, and then you have to be ready to help on her at any point.
Johnson. Diamond Johnson with a 2. She's got 10.
And Johnson's speed, her quickness, her ability to get into that release has been impressive, and I think she's got to get the energy up for this group a little bit, get the ball moving a little bit more. Just 3 assists for NC State so far.
That's the 10th Huskies turnover. 10 turnovers per side.
Yeah, Huskies have gotten sloppy with the ball here in the second part of this first half. I thought they came out really sharp, but a lot of them have just been unforced at times, which is why you see Gino Auriemma kind of scratching his head after that one.
Last year, these two teams playing a double OT thriller. One of the great games in NCAA tournament history as Mimi Collins hits. And we've got a 3-point game here late in the first half. They go to Edwards. Now Mule. Ducharme travels.
And I was looking for NC State to get a little bit more ball movement. Mimi Collins, the Maryland transfer, finding a nice lane, and at 6'3", really uses her strength and her body to go up against a couple of blue jerseys there.
From Tennessee to Maryland to NC State to finish out her college career. Hand off to Johnson. Johnson to the corner. That was deflected. Johnson pulls it out with 8. Stolen by Griffin. Griffin to 5. AZ Fudd has 22 in the first half.
And that's exactly why you have to take care of the ball against UConn. Diamond Johnson got lost in traffic. UConn can get the ball up right away, and they find one of the best scorers in the country waiting alone on the wing.
Hayes. How about 54 points combined in AZ Fudd's last 3 halves of basketball, and counting? Not this time. Collins doubled. Final minute of this first half. Rivers will stay with the Wolfpack with 13.
And NC State, Mimi Collins caught the ball. 3 defenders collapsed on her. That's where somebody else has to move without the ball. River Baldwin would have had a layup had she just made a hard cut to the paint.
Johnson. Diamond Johnson.
Johnson is keeping her team in this game. Like Fudd on the other end, you cannot leave Diamond Johnson all by herself on the 3-point line.
3 triples in the first half. Fudd, rather Edwards from Mule. And Aaliyah Edwards has 10.
Nice steal by Edwards, nice recognition by Mule. No help on the other side, and lobs it over the top.
Edwards, Fudd, and Griffin. The only 3 Huskies who have scored.
That's all you need when somebody's giving you 22 points in a half.
About a 1-second difference between shot and game as Ducharme comes up with the steal. Now with 4, here's Mule. Up to Edwards. Aaliyah Edwards beats the buzzer!
Explosion was the word that Gino Uriema kept saying to Aaliyah Edwards in practice yesterday. You need to be more explosive. That was a pretty good definition of explosion there. UConn has just been defense to offense. Nika Mule eyes up. Aaliyah Edwards powers up to beat the buzzer. What a half for the Huskies.
And a roar from Mule. UConn leading 40-33 at the break. We'll return to the XL Center here in Hartford for highlights and analysis right after this timeout. To the XL Center in Hartford, top 10 women's college basketball matchup. It's lived up to expectations. We've got a 7-point game between UConn and NC State. With the start of the third quarter coming, and stars, Kim Adams, were out to shine in the opening 20 minutes. Yeah,
Diamond Johnson, a Philly point guard. I thought she really kept her team in the game at times when UConn was going on some runs. You see she's knocked down 3 from behind the arc. But sophomore Azzi Fudd has simply been outstanding. Coming off of a 32-point game against Texas, now 22 in the first half. She's going to have to be the primary focus for NC State's defense. I think when they've gotten to her, John, they have the length, they guard her well. But at times they've just had lapses where they've left her wide open, especially in transition.
Azzi Fudd went off on Monday.
Ooh, dropped her a little bit there. That was causing a little talk on social media earlier in the week. And then she drained a couple from deep. Her release is one of the quickest I've ever seen. I don't care if you're watching men's college, WNBA, NBA. Azzi Fudd has one of the quickest releases I've ever seen on a jump shot. It is picture perfect.
Think about that, folks. Fudd, Aaliyah Edwards, Aubrey Griffin with all the points for UConn in the opening 20 minutes.
And you don't see Nika Mule there, but she's had a hand in so many of those points because of her playmaking and getting into the paint and making reads. Uh-oh.
A foul, though, on the rebound. It's on NC State.
NC State foul.
And I think the best defense right now against Azzi Fudd, John, is to try to limit her touches. And right away, she gets a touch, and there's a big third foul on the senior Jakia Brown-Turner. She's staying in at the moment.
Aubrey Griffin with 8.
The big 3 keep it rolling.
Like you just said, that is big. Number 11 for the Wolfpack with the basketball right now with 3 fouls. Such a key part of this team. Hobby is doubled. And Fudd forces the steal.
And great recovery. They doubled it, and then players moved over to stop that pass from going across the lane.
Lou Lopez Seneschal had that altered.
Interesting, we haven't seen her score yet, John. A really high volume score, the transfer from Fairfield.
Was in double figures against Texas. Here comes Griffin. Aubrey Griffin has been lights out this afternoon.
She's such a tough matchup because if you have a center on her like they had Camille Hobby there, she simply can't keep up with the foot speed. Aubrey Griffin, the length, the speed, the athleticism, such a tough cover in the open floor.
Huskies up 18 in the paint. Now with 9, here's Boyd. She lost the basketball. Huskies have numbers. Johnson, though, with an interception. Fouled by Mule. Like a track down corner there.
I wonder if there's a UConn staff member who tracks how many times Nico Mule ends up on the floor in a game, because it is a lot.
Plays with so much quickness. They have to try to slow her down. Here's Hobby backing down on Edwards.
Really good footwork there. Edwards has the size advantage, but Hobby faked her out a little bit and then turned over the left shoulder.
Lopez Seneschal still without a bucket. Here comes Diamond Johnson. Johnson just went into 2 Huskies. A tie-up. It stays with the Wolfpack.
Yeah, a couple times now we've seen Diamond Johnson get into some trouble, just getting a little bit too deep in the paint. When you're 5'5", that's where I'd like to see Diamond Johnson pull up around that logo area, the Big East logo in the middle of the paint, instead of getting too deep into the help and getting into trouble.
Diamond Johnson, the pride of Philadelphia.
Newman Goretti, big-time player, got invited to Allen Iverson's All-American event, the only female.
Got a personal phone call from the answer as Jakia Brown-Turner scores. She was not a McDonald's All-American, though, and that has fueled her. She's remembered that. Nika Mule. Here's Madison Hayes. Hayes, blocking foul call.
Jakia Brown-Turner, we mentioned the only returning starter for NC State. And she's taken it upon herself here, a little jab step, up and under to get the tough finish. And then Hayes could have gone either way on that one, but gets herself to the free throw line. I'm impressed with NC State when they get out and run a little bit more. I think they really have the speed and the athletes from the 1 to 4 position to be a little more damaging on that, in that aspect of the game.
That's what Gino Auriemma told us yesterday, Kim. He said, look, they've got length. When they run with that length is when they're really dangerous.
Yeah, when they use it on the defensive end as well. You see that contest there. Oh, doesn't work out in the favor. We had just been talking about Lou Lopez Seneschal, hadn't hit a shot yet. A potential 4-point play. What a way to get involved in the game. Little step back. She's waiting. Nobody pulls up immediately. Just needs that little bit of space. I didn't see too much contact there caused by Brown-Turner. I thought she just fell a little bit, and that is the 4th on Brown-Turner. Based on that replay, I think that's a really, really tough 4th foul call on the senior.
That is a big moment for Brown-Turner with 4 fouls just 3 minutes into the second half. Another battle for the rebound. Look at Griffin yet again. It's deflected back into the hands of Johnson. Johnson with stop and go. And it was Sanaya Rivers who's down on the other end. Fought in transition. Rivers is still down in pain. Starting to gingerly get up here.
You see all the space they have. 5 on the perimeter right now. Now Boyd inside, who is someone I identified. I think they need to get going again. She was hot early in this game.
Give her a look, but she's short. Mule ahead to 5. Edwards was fouled.
NC State continues to struggle with slowing UConn down in transition. It starts with a high outlet pass, getting that initial pass out far. Nika Mule has had tremendous court vision in this game, and Aaliyah Edwards cleaning up the offensive rebound, and that's something that can happen, especially a team like NC State that prides themselves so heavily on rebounding.
How about the way everything starts in transition for UConn with Mule with the up-ahead pass?
Yeah, well, like I said, she does a good job of positioning herself initially to be almost at half court by the time she catches most of the passes. and then she does a very good job of getting into the middle of the floor so that she has multiple options to either side.
Look, that might seem small, but Aubrey Griffin's fingerprints have been all over the basketball.
And we've said this about her before. She just does a lot of simple things. She makes the gritty plays, the tough plays. She uses her length. And what an asset to have back for this UConn team after missing all of last season with back surgery.
And now Griffin making another play. It's Johnson.
Exactly right. Griffin stepping in for the help.
Lopez Seneschal. Griffin with the offensive board, and she's fouled.
Aubrey Griffin is just more determined right now than the entire NC State team. I mean, there's really no excuse to let somebody just get this active on the offensive glass, and Westmore is going to his bench to bring in 2 other bigs, because that simply can't happen. There was no contact, no box out. Aubrey Griffin skies in, and Westmore now brings in the transfers, Mimi Collins and River Baldwin, to see if somebody on this team is going to box out.
Third foul on Boyd as Aubrey Griffin hits the line. Missed all last year with a back injury. Gino Auriemma saying in the preseason, Aubrey's got the Larry Bird routine. If you remember watching those games when Bird had the back issues in the late 80s and early 90s, Gino said, we'll be out there 15 to 20 minutes, and she'll go, then she'll look over, and she's laying on the floor, stretching her back again.
Yeah, I mean, back injuries are no joke, and you can tell that she's now really getting comfortable with her body again, feeling good about taking hits and getting physical and getting back to the way she likes to play.
River Baldwin will go to the line. Foul on Lopez Seneschal.
And you see the different offensive look there when River Baldwin comes in the game. Camille Hobby starts off the game. She's 6'1", but River Baldwin comes in at 6'5" and is able to make a simple catch and turn to draw the foul.
3 years at Florida State, so an intra-conference transfer, and they really are high on what she can bring to the table.
And I think that's a huge piece for Westmore once you get into ACC play after having lost so much. To have somebody that knows the ins and outs of the league and the players and how teams like to play is a really tremendous asset.
Bud, like you say in the ACC, 5 teams in the preseason top 15 of the AP poll. You need depth. Here's Johnson. Baldwin with the offensive rebound, and River Baldwin making an impact.
Yeah, she hasn't played too many minutes on the season, John, just about 11 per game, but she comes in and is productive in any game she's been in.
Now stopping Edwards and coming up with the rebound. Westmore has found that spark inside. Johnson to the corner. That 3 goes for Madison Hayes.
Madison Hayes, again, I can't believe this was a player who played just a couple minutes per game last season because she's so confident.
Casey Fudd answers. She's got 25.
Like I said, the key at this point of the game, John, when she's in a confident rhythm, is to limit her touches. You have to be all over her, maybe even face guard her at this point on the three-point line.
Johnson with Griffin on her with 9. Now Diamond Johnson with 5. That's an illegal screen on Baldwin.
And that's too bad because Diamond Johnson was lightning quick off the dribble, probably on her way to a layup or a free throw line. This one's good. NC State trailing by 11.
UConn up by 9 in Hartford behind AZ Fudd.
AZ Fudd cooling down a little bit. Incredible 22 in the first, just 3. She's gotten a couple open looks though. So NC State has gambled a little bit, and unfortunately for them, she's missed a couple here, but I think you have to continue to just know where she is on the floor anytime you're on defense.
Here she is, AZ Fudd This time Hayes defended her, but an offensive rebound by Patterson. Now into the five-star freshman. Lopez Seneschal with barely any space.
That was not an easy shot by any means. It's like she was going into an elevator and the doors were closing in on her. She just got that up.
Baldwin. Mule back to Lopez Seneschal. How many shots did Lou Lopez Seneschal make in practice yesterday?
I think it's easier to count the misses, which were not many.
2, maybe 3 on the whole day. 2-hour session.
Definitely shot at least 80%, which is why we were surprised to see her get off to a little bit of a slow start in this game, but she's come alive a little bit in the second half.
Azzi Fudd is a stud. 28 for the superstar.
That's just defeating on a baseline out of bounds. Just a hard cut to the corner, and she's wide open. That can't happen against a player of her caliber.
The runner drops home. It's Jessica Timmons, who's seeing her first action of the afternoon. Rivers with the board. How can the Wolfpack get closer?
Well, here's a mismatch right here, but they do bring the double. But I'd go into those big girls. Collins and Baldwin, great positioning there. Oh, but Aubrey Griffin comes around at the last minute to steal it.
Mule, no look to Lopez Seneschal, counted on the foul.
Constant theme here, John. Defense to offense. It started on the other end. Aubrey Griffin. Collins had great position. But Aubrey Griffin reaches around. Mika Mule adds a little flair to this one. Defender was in the restricted area. So it's an and one. Mika Mule has some flair. That was her 12th assist of the game. We still have more than a full quarter to play.
That flair. The Huskies say it's so fun playing with her. The pride of Croatia. She can't wait to watch Croatia in the FIFA World Cup. It's got underway earlier here on FS1. Ecuador coming away with an opening win. Rivers long. Here comes Fudd. Edwards.
She shot her shot. Maybe she wanted to show coach she has a little range. Didn't get it to fall that time.
That doesn't work for Collins. Got back on defense though. Lopez Seneschal. Solid third quarter as we reach the final minute, and she has caught fire.
You just see her poise, John. She almost went up with it. She almost drove initially on the catch. Just almost lulled the defense to sleep, and then attacks again, totally in control with that pretty little floater finish.
All 10 of those points coming here in the third. And a foul is called before the catch. It's on Patterson. It's her third. When you look up, Ken, it's a 17-point game. How can NC State approach these final 39 seconds and then the final frame if they're going to make any sort of a comeback in Hartford?
Well, when you're obviously trying to get back into a game, it starts with getting consecutive stops. And then on the other end, Diamond Johnson back in the game. Let's see her get into the paint, create a little bit, and obviously limit the turnovers.
Offensive rebound by Boyd. Back to Johnson. Couldn't hit either, and the Huskies can hold it for the last shot. Fudd with 28. Lopez Seneschal with all 10 in this third quarter. She's got the basketball with 7 and a foul. It's called on Timmons, and it does place the Wolfpack in the penalty, so Lopez Seneschal with free throws with 6.8.
That's too bad, because she's a player that's in a rhythm, and now you don't make her work for a shot. You send her to the free throw line.
It's been a third quarter that's seen the Huskies take control. Behind the transfer from Fairfield. How about a 15-2 run by UConn?
It hasn't been anything spectacular, John. I think they've really been more disciplined in their half-court offense the last couple of minutes.
That was 6.8. Timmons with 3. Timmons lost the basketball. With 1.8, UConn gets it back. A 15-2 run to close quarter number 3.
And a big part of it, John, the grad transfer from Fairfield University out of the MAC has finally awoken on the offensive end. No look from her counterpart, Nika Mule. Lopez Seneschal, 12 points in that third quarter.
Let's flash back to 1998. NC State reached their first and only Final Four with a victory over UConn.
And you see Kay Yao there, the legendary head coach, somebody who Wes Moore served on her staff before coming back full circle and becoming the head coach. But it is the 25th anniversary of that 1998 team. And you see the incredible accolades for Kay Yao, who did so much for women's basketball.
Kay Yao gave Wes Moore an opportunity. Back in the 80s, Wes Moore was coaching at the D2 level and into the 90s, and he was sitting in a gym, Kim. He was recruiting, looking for a player outside his normal area that he could bring in. And he sat next to Kay Yao. They could have been in 30 different gyms at this recruiting showcase. They ended up sitting next to each other. They talked for 2 hours, and Kay Yao turned to Wes and said, look, I don't have a head coaching opportunity for you at the D1 level, but I've got a position on my bench, and I would love to have you on my staff if you don't mind sending your application in. The rest is history.
Right time, right place sometimes. And what a moment that he is now, as we said, full circle, the head coach of this team in his 10th season, led them to their best season wins-wise of all time. Last year, 32 wins. And now they're just trying to get past that final step and get back to the Final Four. Only one in the program's history, 1998.
He loves NC State. As he thinks about Coach Yao, what would she do? Time and again, a big mentor to him. Edwards with great defense. A battle for it inside, and the Wolfpack come down with a bucket.
And those are some of the type of plays you need, John, to try to chip away at this lead and make a run at it. Play with a little bit more pace. Try to force some turnovers on this end of the floor. Don't just let UConn take a lot of time off the clock here.
Edwards on an island. Aaliyah Edwards with 16.
Well defended. Jada Boyd was looking for a little bit of a push off. Could have gone either way, but Aaliyah Edwards is just a tough matchup in there.
Diamond Johnson. You talk about turnovers. They've been a huge factor in this game. Points off turnovers, UConn 27, NC State 9, as Aubrey Griffin continues a big day with 14.
I don't know how she found the rim on that one, John. Again, well defended by Jada Boyd. Pretty similar size-wise. Aubrey Griffin just sneaks it up and in there.
Boyd fouled by Griffin.
I think some of NC State's best and most efficient offense, not just today, but moving forward throughout the season, is getting Jada Boyd a driving lane. And that time they had the proper space to do that. I think she has an extremely quick first step for somebody her size, her versatility, her ability to go inside out. And I thought she had started off the game really strong. They went away from her a little bit, but now we're seeing the impact that she can have on this Wolfpack team.
Well, we talked with Wes Moore on Friday, and he said, look, this is the type of scheduling opportunity you want to create. These games will only benefit us, and you credit these programs, Kim, for the willingness to play one another.
Yeah, I think on the women's side, we've seen a ton of big early season matchups. We've seen top 5, top 10 teams go down, but these are the games that make you better when it really matters in February and March.
Around the country, lots of big-time games. Aubrey Griffin has had a big-time day.
Again, simple. Catches the ball with the defender on her back and makes a quick move over her left shoulder.
Griffin and Edwards each with 16. That 3 falls for Timmons. Jessica Timmons did not play in the first half. Lou Lopez Seneschal gets it to go. On 15 for Lou Lopez Seneschal in the second half.
How about the recognition from who else? Aubrey Griffin, though, gets the ball underneath the basket and instantly kicks it out to her teammate wide open on the three-point line.
Hobby with muscle.
And Hobby did a nice job that time of stepping up the lane a little bit, because I think she's more efficient off the bounce, so that time gave herself a little space to take that quick dribble and get herself to the rim.
A timeout called by Connecticut. The Huskies in control with a big 3 of Fudd, Griffin, and Lopez Seneschal having a big Sunday.
Welcome back to the XL Center, where the Huskies have opened up a near 20-point lead because of plays like this. How many forwards are making this pass? Aubrey Griffin, a near touch pass from the restricted area arc out to her teammate Lou Lopez Seneschal, who gets the friendly bounce. That sums up the game that Nika Mule has had in terms of getting the ball up the floor, and it sums up the game that Aubrey Griffin has had, just making really incredible reads, making plays at the right time, and unselfish team basketball there. Beautiful sequence.
What's it say that this team has gone through the injuries that they've had, Dorka Juhas the latest, and that they've come together this way?
Well, this season they're used to this at this point, which is an unfortunate situation, but last year they were doing this all season long. Players in and out of the lineup, losing Paige midway through the season for a big chunk of it. But now they know, these are the facts as AZ Fudd gets going again. I believe she's up to 30 on the afternoon. But I think they're comfortable knowing that our lineup may shift game to game, and whichever 5 are out there have to be ready to go.
The best quote from the offseason came from AZ Fudd when she said, we felt like with 6 losses last year, we were the worst UConn team ever. That's standard. It's unbelievable.
I hate that she thought that way, but yeah, I mean, looking around the practice facility yesterday at all the banners and the players who have come through was really cool.
Mule. Edwards with the offensive board. Was fouled.
I think Aaliyah Edwards has had a great level of focus in this game, John. That's what Gina Oriema has been challenging her, to be consistent from game to game within a game. And I felt like she's really exerted her effort levels at all points of this game and has been really keyed in on attacking the boards.
Gina Oriema has had that talk with the junior from Ontario, that she can leave her mark as the next great UConn big.
Yeah, and I think, people come to UConn for a multitude of reasons. I would think a lot of them come here to win a national championship, and oftentimes the best teams, not at UConn, but nationwide, are teams who will do whatever to win the game and to make their team better, and Aaliyah Edwards has done the small things to make her team better tonight.
Boyd was fouled. Just the first on Edwards this afternoon.
First person foul, third team foul.
So Jada Boyd steps to the line.
Jada Boyd, 2 free throws.
She's led the Wolfpack in scoring twice this year on the All-ACC tournament first team last March when the Wolfpack took their 3rd consecutive ACC tournament crown. That's not easy to do in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
No way. It's shaping up to be another crazy year for the conference, although Louisville just went down yesterday to Gonzaga. A couple of crazy upsets in the Atlantis tournament. Notre Dame, a team who's really intriguing. The young prospects that Neil Ivey has been bringing in.
Look out for Virginia Tech, too. Nika Mule from downtown. Her first points of the game.
It's insane the impact she's had on the game. With that being her first bucket, she completely changes the landscape of this game.
Career high 13 dishes. Brown Turner hit the clutch shot to force double overtime when these two teams met last March. Diamond Johnson looking for Hobby with 5 and a foul call.
Gino and Aaliyah can't believe that one. Nika Mule has a career high 13 assists, but she wanted to remind everyone that she could shoot the ball as well. Nice high release. Nika Mule from deep.
UConn up big on NC State. Less than 5 minutes to go from Hartford. The Huskies on the cusp of back-to-back top 10 wins, part of an overall performance by the Big East Conference. 5-0 against the top 25.
And this would be 6-0 after this game. Creighton, who made that unexpected Elite Eight run last season, responsible for 2 of those wins. The biggest shocker last night, Marquette, who was picked 6th in the Big East preseason poll, taking down Texas in the battle for Atlantis just a couple days after UConn knocked off Texas.
Jordan King with 25 in that game. How much have you seen UConn's return to the Big East elevate others?
I think so. I think people are up for the challenge. I think recruiting is getting better. I think scheduling is getting better, and just playing UConn in the regular season makes you learn from that and want to elevate your program to a national level.
With 7, here's Lou Lopez Seneschal off the glass. 17 in the second half.
Her ability to finish is incredible. A lot of her shots today, her made shots, have been really well contested. She just got the arc way up on that one. She's just a natural scorer.
Brown Turner fouled. On the flip side this afternoon, this was a single-digit game at the half, as Lopez Seneschal commits her 4th foul. If you're NC State, you're in the game through 20 minutes. Second half hasn't gone the way you would have liked it. What are the key points that you touch on from this afternoon?
Yeah, well, this will be a tough one to swallow, but it's a game where, as hard as it's going to be, you will look back at the tape, you'll clip it up and say, what went wrong here? What went wrong there? And this is a team that's still getting used to its new pieces. Players who were coming off the bench are now playing big minutes. A couple of transfers in the mix. So I think you take this tape and you really get determined to get better from this loss. And if you play this game again in March, you feel a lot better about it.
The season is a marathon. Brown Turner with the and-one. She's been a bright spot in this 4th quarter.
Yeah, and you're going to lean on a player like Jakia Brown Turner, who's a senior who's started every game but one that she's played in as a member of the Wolfpack for 4 seasons. And the pieces are there. Jada Boyd, the size, Diamond Johnson, star point guard. It's about that chemistry coming together.
Completing the three-point play. There's a reason why Jakia Brown-Turner was on the Naismith Trophy top 50 in the preseason. Bud now with 10. It's Griffin. Into Edwards. Aaliyah Edwards has 20.
She has the ability to come up with something from nothing. Another possession that was well defended. Mimi Collins gets a hand on it, but Aaliyah Edwards just finds it and gets the 2.
Griffin with the rebound. Fudd and Edwards combining for 50. Griffin.
You see here, John, I'm surprised the coaches haven't emptied out the benches a little bit here with under 3 minutes to go.
Foul underneath. As Brown-Turner was shooting. And it is on Collins, who was fighting in the post. We have not seen that. The reserves come in. We'll see if these coaches go to them here as we reach around 2 minutes to go. Bud looking for her career high, and now a foul is called on Griffin. So the Huskies on their way to back-to-back top 10 victories. It's off to the PK 85 to Portland this week.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. The UConn men also heading out there. You see at Notre Dame, but they've got a couple of huge ones that aren't even listed there. They will play at Maryland, at Tennessee. They will host South Carolina. This is one of the most insane schedules I have seen a team compile.
The Huskies in South Carolina, the two powers, a game that will be on Fox February 5th.
And not to mention, John, that as we just touched on, the Big East as a whole is getting better. So now you're facing a couple of ranked opponents within your own conference, which hasn't necessarily happened for the Huskies in recent years.
Right. Creighton making the Elite Eight. See Marquette beat Texas. Maddie Siegrist and Villanova.
One of the best scorers in the nation.
Azzi Fudd with back-to-back 32-point performances.
She gets a little space on the pick and roll. If you are not up on her, she's going to pull up on a dime.
Baldwin has been a bright spot as the game's gone on.
I agree. I think Coach Wes Moore is finding the best ways he can use River Baldwin. I think we've seen in all 5 of their games, she's been very productive in a small amount of minutes. So maybe you start to increase her minutes a little bit more, but I have been impressed with her.
Lou Lopez Seneschal. Offensive rebound for Mule. Back to Lopez Seneschal. What a second half! 20 points!
Target practice, just like a little shooting drill there, getting the offensive board, relocating. Second one felt good for Lou.
And a foul called on Griffin. And with that assist, how about this? Nika Mule with 15 assists sets a new UConn women's basketball record.
I mean, it's not like they've had any good point guards in the program. Sue Bird didn't come through there. Diana Taurasi didn't come through. I mean, not a very high bar to catch.
What do you think Sue and Diana are thinking when they see a record fall? Oh.
Because they're so competitive, they probably get annoyed by it.
Yes, and you know that Gino Auriemma will remind them of it.
I'm sure someone will shoot a text after this one. Maybe Nika, because she's as competitive as they come to. just taking a look back, the vision has been outstanding. A lot of her assists have been in transition in the open floor, where she's always getting to the middle of the floor, getting to the painted area, and she is getting a loud applause from the fans here at XL Center as she heads to the bench. Maybe the best game we've seen Nika Mühl play. And I think it was interesting, John, when we talked to Gino Auriemma, he said there's a lot of pressure on AZ Fudd this year. He said, I think there's equally as much pressure on Nika because of that player right there, Paige Beckers, being out for the year. Nika is the primary point guard, has the ball in her hands a ton. And what a season she's put together early on.
15 assists. What a day. Fudd now with 4 on the timer and able to hang on. See Paige Beckers. She FaceTimed Nika Mühl when she found out her injury news, and Nika said it was me who was crying and Paige who was consoling me. Just because that's what Nika thinks of Paige Beckers. An offensive foul call. That bond is real, Kim, and you just feel like Nika Mühl has taken ownership now. There it is.
Yeah, Paige just making sure the officials had that one. Maybe getting a couple referee opportunities this season. But Nika Mühl has really risen to the challenge of her good friend's absence.
Adversity, injuries, challenges. The same standard and culture. UConn sets the tone to its season with back-to-back top 10 wins.
What a start for the Huskies. We have seen different players emerge in these last couple of games. Nika Mühl was huge in this one, and we're seeing the balanced attack of UConn. Lou Lopez Seneschal came out of nowhere in the second half after being scoreless. She finishes with 20, and I thought the inside presence of Edwards and Griffin were huge too.
AZ Fudd with her second straight 32-point performance.
She ties her career high, and you can't lose her behind the arc. If she gets her feet set up, say goodnight. Love that mid-range pull-up game from her as well. Getting to the rim, showing her different levels of scoring. Simply maybe the best player in the country right now.
The final score is UConn 91, NC State 69. Now let's send you to Newark for Wagner and Seton Hall. Jack Benjamin and Jim Spinarco are on the call.